The second arc of the Kamen Rider Zero One storyline is often criticized as the weakest arc. It takes place after the first defeat of Metsubo Jinrai, where Guy AMATSU takes charge as the show's primary antagonist, and battles against Aruto Hiden in a 5-part competition to square off their products. If Guy wins, his company, Zaya Enterprise, will buy out Aruto's company, Hiden Intelligence. Most of the criticisms are often mentioned to be the boring pacing, and somehow Aruto's presence as a protagonist is dwindling. Although I can agree that the pacing of the second arc kind of feels wonky, is it a bad arc? To put it simply, no. You may call the storyline boring, but it's certainly not a terrible arc. There were certainly parts of the story that I feel many fans seem to overlook and even misinterpret. The point of this video isn't to change the mind of these criticisms, but to point out the highlights that many people missed out on. So, is the workplace competition arc bad? Something that I liked about this competition is how much it challenged Aruto. Not Zero One, but Aruto Hiden. In the beginning, Aruto chose to become president in order to use the Zero One driver and protect the dreams of others. He simply inherited the role of CEO from his late grandfather. But Aruto doesn't have that much experience to handle the company and its products. He nearly got himself impeached if it wasn't for him taking down Metsubo Jinrai. But when Guy announces that he'll buy out Hiden and challenges Aruto in order to keep his family business, it would become the greatest challenge for Aruto's character. He may be a noob in handling a business, but does that mean he can still run his grandfather's company? What I found really interesting about this competition is that Aruto isn't just fighting Kamen Rider Thouser, he's fighting Guy. What I'm saying is that in the midst of protecting the people, he's also fighting to save his company and the human gear. There's more than one way of fighting, and this competition is the more human scope. These rounds show the accomplishments and the flaws with both the human gear and the Zaya specs, whether that being data analysis, customer service, profit margins, and product capabilities. Zaya wins the first 2 rounds, so what? Aruto would learn that just having good business ethics won't make a successful corporation. It's what the company sells. He has to prove that his products can perform well in the public, which Aruto tries so hard to push later on. Guy AMATSU, also known as Kamen Rider Thouser, is the primary villain of this arc and the overarching antagonist of the Metsubo Jinrai storyline. He is also the creator of the arc and responsible for the malice programmed into the satellite, all for his goals to surpass Hiden Intelligence. Guy is certainly one of the most devious antagonists of Kamen Rider, something which the actor is quite proud of. But a lot of people hate him because of his attitude and think he's terribly written. Although I think the annoying stuff of Guy was more apparent after this arc, I find myself mostly to disagree on this criticism, and I think people are focusing their hatred on his attitude rather than his purpose because he plays a good role in the show's story, and I applaud the actor on his good performance playing this character. Honestly, I think he might be one of the best antagonists of this series. Might be even better than Metsubo Jinrai because Kamen Rider Thouser is the perfect foil to Zero One. While Aruto himself respects his grandfather's dream and seeks to continue his legacy, Guy is quite the opposite. Although Guy does bring up a good point that humans could become inferior to the human gears, it doesn't change the fact of how many cruel things he has to do in order to become president of Hiden Intelligence. Aruto has good business ethics. Guy is willing to play dirty. Aruto cares about customer service. Guy cares strictly about the business. Even the Thouser system itself was designed to be superior to the Zero One system. Not all businesses and companies have positive morals, and Guy portrays the negative side very well.
It's high quality.
METALCLUSTER Hopper is the third upgrade of Zero One, and actually brings up this question. What if the arc corrupts Zero One instead? In a ploy to prevent Aruto from getting in his way, Guy creates the METALCLUSTER Hopper key to lock Aruto from transforming again, only to have succeed in his goal, but inadvertently creating a new form. Aruto loses access to his previous forms, except METALCLUSTER. Now, the Zero One system is berserk like a human gear becoming a Magia, because they're connected to the arc. The solution to this problem ties into the connections Aruto had made with every human gear he has encountered and befriended. He was the one who saved them, and it's their turn to save him, thanks to the human gear keys and the progressed Hopper Blade. That's the meaning of episode 24's title. It's our turn. And it's the same episode where Aruto also finally regains back control of 01. This arc might be small because it was resolved in 3 episodes, but it's nice to see the continuity with past 01 episodes coming together for this moment. There's honestly not a lot to say about Jin and his new Burning Falcon form, other than that he's certainly grown up, and the form looks so sleek. But I do like the change from the childlike yet sadistic lackey to a more mature and determined character. But he'll get more and more characterization after this arc. I did like the Burning Falcon debut episode, not just because of Jin's return, but it does confirm that yes, Aruto's Humagear father did indeed create the 01 system to support Aruto's dream to create a world where humans and Humagears can smile together, therefore confirming that some, and not all the events of the ZO crossover did happen. This episode provided more interesting world building within the world of 01, and please watch the episode, it's really good.
道具じゃない.
There's a lot of criticism for Yua Yaiba's character ever since she left AIMS to work for Zaya, and many claim she has weak characterization. I might be inclined to agree, but I wouldn't say her character was a complete total waste because there's actually some growth and development for her character despite what appears to seem. In the beginning, she originally saw Humagears as tools for human use. After working with Hidden Intelligence, she sees more potential with the Humagear and believes that they're more than just tools, but she is forced to be silent on this revelation. Behind the scenes, Yua has been working with AMATSU in his plans to tarnish Hidden Intelligence, and she has no choice because of the chip on her brain, giving her painful headaches. It's around the 4th round of this competition where her character picks up the pace. This second arc shows the irony to her initial belief towards Humagear because the tables are turned. Yua is now AMATSU's tool, being forced to obey his commands without any question. To explain the etymology of Karma Valkyrie's name, Valkyries are the female warriors from Norse mythology with absolute loyalty towards Odin. In this case, Yua is the Valkyrie to guide Odin. Narrative-wise, in this arc, she serves as a foil to secondary writer Isamu Fua when it comes to having free will. While Isamu Fua is the type of character who will do nothing in his way to break out of his leash, Yua Yaiba reluctantly chooses to remain chained because she's not in a good advantage. I don't care if this character arc for Yua is called weak, but this is consistent characterization that many people seem to miss out on and would be developed further in later storylines. But there is more about Yua that I will mention soon in the next section. I keep hearing these claims that Fu is more the main character than Aruto because he had more development, and how Aruto barely filled his role as the title character. I disagree 1000%. For the entirety of the second arc of the series, Fua didn't have any focus and development until the near end of the arc. For the most part, he was in the background, focusing on solving the mysteries of the Raiders and helping Aruto on several occasions. Yes, there was the Naki plot point that was foreshadowed, but it didn't unfold till the near end of the arc. But let's talk about his character development. There's a bigger picture with both Vulcan and Valkyrie on opposite sides in terms of free will. As Yua is being leashed by Guy, Fua is the opposite as he'll keep on breaking out of his chains to take Thouser down. When Guy revealed to Fua about the chip in his brain and on several occasions under the control of Naki, a fallen member of Metsubo Jinrai, that revelation still wouldn't put Fua down. Vulcan and Valkyrie are foils to each other, in the message of either follow the rules of one person or think for themselves. He does just that, breaking free of Guy's control and Naki's possession. Fua becomes a changed man, now questioning what his own dream is. He questions this after saving Izu, which is the first time he would even save a Humagear despite initially hating them. All Fua can do left is rampage.
人とヒューマギアが一緒に笑える未来のために戦う。それが仮面ライダー01だ。
You know, I hate it when people say Aruto's character became more weak in this arc and he becomes a less interesting character. Honestly, there was more that he does in this arc. Yeah, I believe Aruto became more interesting in this storyline than in the first few episodes since he grew as a character and his flaws are shown more since then. METALCLUSTER Hopper is by far a more interesting form by plot in contrast to the previous Shining Hopper and Shining SL Hopper forms. It symbolizes his progression, how he was at his weak point, and it's the human gears that he previously worked with that finally got him standing again. This arc finally establishes the major flaw with Arto. Despite his ambitions and good heart, he's still not a good businessman. The workplace competition and meeting Guy would reveal the cracks with the reality of owning a business. If he had won the competition, I bet he wouldn't grow as a character, and Arto really needs to learn from failure. If you carefully noticed in the previous episodes, 01 has lost to Thouser on most occasions, even after he had METALCLUSTER. Why? Well, he has been emotionally holding back this entire time, with Guy using his compassion for the human gears against him. This is the main reason why he lost the competition. He keeps holding back. I believe 01 himself is stronger than Thouser. I don't care what the stats say, but he keeps on holding back whenever they're in a battle. After he loses his company to Guy, Arto is therefore no longer CEO of Hidden Intelligence, and had to give up the 01 driver. He has lost everything. Such a tragic ending to our main character. Or is it?
お前を止められるのはただ一人俺だ!
Okay, yes. I know this is supposed to be the first episode of the third arc, and this video is focusing on the second arc, but I have to mention this. Episode 30. After all, I am the president and a Kamen Rider. Arto has lost, and the human gears that he had protected are either recalled, hunted down, and disposed of. His grandfather's legacy is tarnished, and there's nothing that he can do about it. Or is it? Realizing from Jin's frustrations, Arto comprehends that yes, although anyone can have a dream, should a human gear have a dream? Even when Izu was brought back thanks to Jin, Arto, fearing for her safety, wants Izu to have a dream on her own. But her dream is to be besides Arto and help follow his dream. Then, everything gets more and more hopeless on Arto's end. But surprisingly, that doesn't put him down, and will never discourage him.
A jump to the sky turns to a rider kick.
As of the time of this recording, episode 30 is by far my favorite episode of Kamen Rider 01 and is the culmination of what the second arc has built up. Will you let failure get in your way, or will you keep trying to get the best results? Never give up on failure. This episode is the height of Arto Hiden's character development, as well as Izu's. Having nothing else to lose, Arto no longer holds back in the scene, proving once and for all, 01's might is stronger than Thouser's wrath, and he starts over from 0 to be number 1. Final thoughts. The purpose of this video is not to disprove anyone's opinions, but rather point out the things that I liked about the storyline. I won't argue about the pacing or how boring this arc could be, but I cannot say the workplace competition is a pointless storyline. There's a more heavy emphasis on character rather than action in this arc, especially with Arto, Fua, Guy, Jin, Izu, and maybe Yua to some extent. Yeah, there's still action, but character conflicts take more significance. This arc may not be perfect, but it's not a bad storyline if I have to be honest. Thank you for watching this video. What are your thoughts on the workplace competition? Comment down below, give this video a like, click on the notification bell, and subscribe for more videos like this. I'm Baron, signing out.